Hello and welcome to MLS Ireland Does Predictions. You are watching me do predictions for week 30. Yes, I know we're not so far left of the season, so it's getting exciting. Stay tuned. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for joining me. Yes, my name is Sean, and if you're new to this, hit that subscribe button. I know last week was a bit of a balls up because my computer, who is nearly as old as America, is kind of crashed on Thursday, and nothing was really working on a Thursday where I usually do all my editing and all that kind of stuff. I did recording, but all that kind of stuff, and trying to do my editing, and it's basically slow as hell, and I kind of nearly missed my deadline, so I just went, hell, I'll just do the wee short, and people watched it, I suppose. So thank you for watching. So yes, these are my predictions. I may as well crack on with the first game, which is Montreal against Columbus Crew. Montreal did actually very well last week. They beat Toronto. Was a 3-4-3. Toronto was like 2-0 up in the first 10 minutes or so, and then Montreal scored 2 or 3 in the first half, and then kind of won the game 3-4. So that was a pretty impressive result, and they're coming up against a Columbus Crew team. Columbus Crew team haven't lost a game in the last 6, which is pretty nice to see. Granted, they've only won 2, so they're coming up against a Montreal team who you would suspect probably, on the terms of form, would probably win this game. So I went for like a 1-0 win, and they're just too strong for a Columbus Crew team who I do think may get a good result in this one. Well, play well, but that kind of crack. They're just going to be one of those things. So the next game is Charlotte against New York City FC. Now Charlotte at home had a very good record at home. Then they just all kind of fell off in the last couple of weeks. Home record, they got beaten by Toronto and Orlando at home, which wasn't great, and beaten by Chicago Fire at home as well. And they lost their last games against Cincinnati, and that was like a 2-0 win. Talking about Cincinnati, New York City FC played them last night, and that was a 1-1 draw. So take that of what you will coming into this game. These two teams are probably well matched at the moment because New York City FC are not great currently. Well, they don't have any confidence. Charlotte are good at home, but they kind of lost that momentum at home. So this is going to be an interesting one, but I do think it could possibly be a 1-0 win to Charlotte, just for the fact is they are good at home, and New York City FC are not having a great time of it, unfortunately, because they're not a bad team. The next one is Nashville against LA Galaxy. Now, Nashville, who are 8th, won their last 4 games, which is pretty impressive, against Dallas, Vancouver, Colorado, and Austin, which beating Austin has a pretty good result because Austin were 3rd, but 4th now in the league. Pretty good results. They're playing against a LA Galaxy team who are 14th, drew their last game against Sporting Kansas City, when they could have won it at the last minute, but Hernandez kind of missed the penalty with a wee kind of panic. But these are the kind of things I always love about these people. It was a dumb penalty. Granted, people do this all the time and score. Can you not just say it was a pretty good save by the goalkeeper? He read it and saved it. But no, it's the striker who's the idiot. Nobody's really good in that one. But anyway, I digress. This one, I do think actually Nashville could probably get a good result in this one. I went for like a 2-1 win to Nashville. They're just probably in a far better place than LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy are a good team, no denying that, but their form at the moment away from home isn't in particularly good shape. They've only won in the last 4, so I'm going to stick with that. The next one is 2-1. Yeah, you got that. So the next one is New York Red Bulls against the New England Revolution. So New York Red Bull lost their last game against Philadelphia. That was a 2-0 win to Philadelphia, and that was New York City FC at home, so not a great result. But before that, they beaten Montreal away from home, beat Inter Miami at home, and drew against Cincinnati, and beat Atlanta, got beaten by Orlando at home. So their home record is a bit sketchy. So they're coming up against the New England team who won last week against New York City FC. So, and again, their record is a bit all over the place. Chicago Fire drew, beaten by LA Galaxy and Montreal, and drew against Toronto. Beat DC United, but that's DC United. God love them. So yeah, into this one, New York Red Bulls should probably get a good result in this one. I actually went for like a 2-1 win to New York City. Just for they're at home. They probably have their other supporters behind them, all hundreds of them. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a 2-1 win in that one. They're just probably a better team in a better place at the moment, so I'm going to stick with that. The next one is Atlanta against Toronto. Now Toronto, I may as well stick with Atlanta first. Atlanta, who are not doing very well. They got beaten by Portland, Philadelphia, beat DC United. Okay, good, and then drew with Columbus, and then beaten by New York Red Bull, drew Cincinnati. So now they're coming up against the Toronto team, who are, like I said, got beat by Montreal, drew with LA Galaxy, beat Charlotte, beaten by Inter, drew against New England, and won against Portland. So the one drew lost. I'm going to go for like a 3-1 win to Toronto. They are just a far superior team than Atlanta. I think Atlanta are missing everything, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a 3-1 win to Toronto. Then the next one is FC Cincinnati against San Jose Earthquakes. Cincinnati, actually, like I said last night, drew against New York City FC, 1-0, beat Charlotte at the weekend, 3-1. Columbus Crew, they drew against New York and Atlanta, and beat Philadelphia. So there you go. So this one's going to be an interesting one. San Jose Earthquakes, who won their last game, that was against Vancouver, got beaten by Sporting Kansas City. And then beaten LAFC. So their home record is pretty good, but they're going to be away, and they haven't played very well away from home. I think they've only won one game away from home. So SC Cincinnati, I do like them at this moment, so I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to FC Cincinnati, because they are a very good team. They are a good scoring team. Defensively, they're kind of sus, but I'm just going to stick with 2-0. Yep, the next one is Philadelphia against Orlando. Philadelphia. I like Philadelphia. They're now top of the league. Only lost to one in the last 6, and that was against Dallas, and that was only 1-0. And then during that time, they won 6-0, 6-0, 4-1, and 2-0. Only conceding the 1, which is pretty impressive, but scoring a shit ton in the meantime. So they're going against the Orlando team, who aren't doing too bad. They won their last 4, which is pretty impressive. New York Red Bulls, Charlotte, New York City, and Seattle. But they are coming up against a very good Philadelphia team. I was going to sneeze there, but I didn't. Thought I was going to cry. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to go for Philadelphia win, 3-0. Far better team, scoring loads, not conceding many. Orlando are not doing too bad, but they are conceding, even though that they're winning. So this is probably going to be an interesting one for them. If they can stick into it, knowing this is going to be MLS, they're probably going to win 3 or 4 fucking 0. But anyway, I digress. The next one is Chicago Fire against Inter. Chicago Fire, I did have hopes for when they started scoring goals and started doing very well, and then all of a sudden then they kind of collapsed again. Haven't won a game in the last 5, beat Charlotte once, and then draws against Philadelphia, New York City, and Montreal, and then drew against New England and Columbus Crew. So, and then they're coming up against an Inter team who lost their last 2 against Columbus Crew and New York Red Bull, but beat Toronto and New York City. So it is an interesting one. This is why I love the MLS, because it's all over the bloody shop. So I'm going to stick. I went for a 1-1, so I might actually stick with that one, because it is going to be. They are trickier to predict these games. This game could be in a 3-2, 3-1, whatever. But I think because coming into this, Chicago Fire still not in that kind of rich vein of form, nor Inter. They kind of lost the last 2, so this game could go either way. So I'm going to stick with my 1-1. The next one is Seattle against Austin. Seattle or 17th, won their last game against Houston, but got beaten by Orlando, Portland, Real Salt Lake, and Atlanta. So not entirely very good. But they did beat Houston, which I know Houston are doing. They're second last, so it's very hard to take out of that. And then they're coming up against a very, very good Austin FC team who lost their last 2 against Nashville and Portland, beat LAFC, but then got beaten by Minnesota, beaten Sporting Kansas City, and drew against San Jose Earthquakes. Unlike them. And granted, this is going to be a away game against Seattle. Seattle have the capabilities of probably getting a good result in this, because they are a strange team, and this is when they start. I know I said this last week, or the last 2 weeks, but this is the time when they start picking up results and doing very well. So I'm going to go for a 2-all. Two teams are probably well matched, as in fact the Seattle are at home and Austin are good. I know my mind thinks of a lot of fun things. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a 2-all. The next one is FC Dallas against LAFC. LAFC, who lost a lot of games, then beat Real Salt Lake, but lost 3, which is not like them. Their away record is pretty hopeless at the moment. They're playing against the Dallas team who won. Granted, they haven't won a game at home in quite a while, since the 18th of August, which was quite a while ago, 2-3 weeks ago. So saying that, they drew against Real Salt Lake, but they are coming against the LAFC team and haven't actually won a game in the last 4 away from home. Last 3, sorry. So saying that, I'm going to go for like a surprise result. I'm going to go for a Dallas 1-0 win. I think Inter know that they are through, but I think they're kind of in holiday mode, if that makes any sense. And I do think they're just going to go into this game thinking first gear, we'll be all right. So I'm going for like a 1-all to FC Dallas. The next one is Houston Dynamo against Sporting Kansas City. Sporting Kansas City, who aren't bottom anymore, but they are playing against a team who are second from bottom, and as Sporting Kansas City are third from bottom, this is going to be a good wee one. It's going to be probably a lot of goals. Sporting Kansas City are scoring a lot of goals and conceding a lot more probably, whereas Houston are scoring a lot of goals and conceding a lot more probably. So again, this is going to be a nice wee fun one. I would like to, it is MLS, so it's going to be pretty hard to figure out. So I'm going for like a 3-2 to Sporting Kansas City, just for the fact is, in the last 6, they've only lost 2 and won 3, whereas Houston only won the 1. But that was against LAFC, so make that of what you will. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a 3-2 to Sporting Kansas City. The next one is Colorado Rapids against Vancouver. It's going to be a good one. Orlando, I do like Orlando's, but they're the only team who hasn't won in the last 6. That just shows you how this is how mad the MLS is. They're playing against a very interesting Vancouver team who are 2 spots above them, only won 2 in the last 6, and that was quite about a month ago. So saying that, Colorado Rapids against a Vancouver team at home. I think Vancouver actually probably get a good result out of this one. I went for like a 2-1 win to Vancouver, just for the fact is they are probably a smidgen bit better, and this is probably going to be a good wee game for them to get a good result, and so I went for a 2-1 win. The next one is Real Salt Lake against DC United. DC United, who are bottom, the records aren't getting worse. Drew against Colorado and beat New York City FC. Granted, New York City is not in a great, they're not great at the moment either, but anyway, not a bad result. Coming up against the Real Salt Lake team, who only won the 2, drew 2, and lost 2 in the last 6. So Real Salt Lake are probably a bit better team, 14th in the league. Coming up against a team who are bottom of the league, I went for like a 2-1 win to Real Salt Lake, just because they're DC United. With Ben Teke, it is going to be interesting to see how they cope with him, but I think a 2-1 win is probably just about right. And the last one is Portland Timbers against Minnesota. Portland Timbers now, who are 10th in the league, won their last 3, which is pretty impressive, against Seattle, Austin, and Atlanta, granted, but anyway. And they're coming up against the Minnesota team, who are just 1 spot above them, 2 points ahead. Lost their last 2. That was against Real Salt Lake and Dallas, but beaten a couple of times before that, Houston, Austin, and Nashville, and got beaten by Colorado. Portland at home are a very good team, beating Seattle, which is probably a good result, and which put them into good stead, beating Austin away from home, which is even a better result. So I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win to Portland, just for the fact is they're at home and they're actually not a bad team. So yeah, those were my predictions. I hope you enjoyed them. Thanks for sticking this far, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye now.